crashing through the lies and disinformation. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
It is Sunday, August 8th, 2010. We're going to be live here for the next 2 hours with the Sunday abbreviated transmission, and we're going to have open phones throughout the 2 hours and a ton of vital news. I specifically want to ask callers, you can call in about any subject you want, but I want to ask callers, when is enough going to be enough for the American people and the people of the planet? How many trillions do offshore banks have to steal? How many carbon taxes do the governments controlled by these banks have to pass? How many jobs do we have to lose to globalism to realize that they want to destroy our independence and literally domesticate us in their own words? Some of the news I have here is dealing with numbers around the country. Here's a Dallas Morning News report. Headline, across Texas, 60,000 babies of non-citizens get U.S. birthright. In the last year alone in Texas, 60-plus thousand illegal aliens came in and had their babies here in Texas, or more than 16% of all births in the state. And their families were immediately allowed to stay. They're able to get welfare by having the child. And in most cases, the birth is free. It's paid for, but citizens don't get that. And, of course, the illegal aliens also are released for drunk driving, armed robbery. They're above the law. Why? The globalists want to grease the skids and incentivize the third world moving here to be a foreign army inside of the country. At Parkland Memorial Hospital, where I was born in Dallas and where they took Kennedy when he was dead, I would add, 74% of the births in the last year, of the 11,071 at that hospital, 74% were illegal aliens, children, and the majority were free. Can you imagine if 74% of the births at a major hospital in Mexico were Americans who were illegal going down there, and then suddenly they were made to be Mexican citizens and everything was paid for? What a joke. Only the American people would put up with something like this. And then, as the country goes bankrupt and you start to complain, you get called a racist. So they're moving for a constitutional amendment to block the anchor babies. My problem is when they open up an amendment process, they could try to pass other amendments changing the Constitution at the same time in the Constitutional Convention. There's got to be other ways to put a stop to this. So that is coming up today. Boehner says end to birthright citizenship worth considering. Also, violence in Mexico intensifies. Fidel Castro has now gone and given a speech to their government, and he appeared to be healthy after beating cancer a few years ago, and said that we're on the edge of World War III and nuclear conflagration. I don't agree with Fidel Castro's politics, but I do agree with his geopolitical analysis of the situation with North Korea and Iran. We'll be discussing that. Also, finally, it's broken into mainstream news, CNET News, CBS, San Francisco Chronicle, that yes, there's high levels of radiation from the naked body scanners, and yes, they're lying about storing the images, whether it's federal courthouses, state courthouses, or whether it's the airports, they're saving them all with your name. So we'll be going over that as well. Plus, a major study shows CIA doctors gave green light to torture. That was admitted 5 years ago. They're the ones that conduct and order the torture. Also, IMF document illustrates plan to create a global currency. That's now mainstream news. We'll be discussing that and the economy, but I also want to open the phones up. The toll-free number to join us is 888-201-2244, 888-201-2244 on this live August 8th, 2010 transmission. The websites are prisonplanet.com, Infowars.com, JonesReport.com, and Infowars.net. Don't forget, we're also simulcasting the radio show right now in living video color with the multicam shoot and all the documents and video clips at prisonplanet.tv. We'll be right back. Alex Jones here with urgent information concerning trendsresearch.com. The Trends Journal distills the voluminous ongoing research of the Trends Research Institute into a concise, readily accessible form. By tracking 300 separately defined domestic and international trends, the Trends Journal establishes the connections that others fail to see or misinterpret. Gerald Salente's Trends Journal allows you to anticipate change, recognize the implications, and take protective strategies. Individual readers from every walk of life can put the Trends Journal, Trends Forecast, and Trends Analysis to practical use. Extra information to keep you well informed throughout the year when any current event of major social, economic, or political significance occurs. Trends Journal notifies its subscribers of their implications. When you subscribe to the Trends Journal, you'll also receive Trends Alerts. Visit trendsresearch.com today. That's trendsresearch.com. Subscribe to the Trends Journal. This information is too important to wait.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance. Rallying patriots worldwide. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Glad that you could join us in the defense of the Republic as we attempt and have some success at awakening people worldwide to the fact that we have a global corporate tyranny that uses a mix of communism, fascism, socialism to bring in this global private corporate governance that is unelected and extremely predatory and authoritarian. It is Sunday, the 8th day of August 2010. We're going to have wide open phones throughout the 2-hour abbreviated Sunday transmission. Of course, we do 3 hours weekdays, 11 to 2 p.m. Central. The toll-free number to join us today on any of the issues I'm going to raise or any news stories or topics that you want to comment on, or if you want to agree with me or ask a question or disagree, 888-201-2244, 888-201-2244. And I want to add that if you disagree with me, you go to the head of the line. We don't screen your calls, but if you volunteer that you disagree, you will go to the head of the line. Sometimes we screen calls, but only if we have a guest on a particular topic. We want to make sure you're calling in about that topic. But today it is just wide open phones, and the toll-free number to join us is 888-201-2244, 888-201-2244, and we will get you up and on the air. We'll start taking those calls coming up in the next segment. North Korea has seized a South Korean fishing boat amid drills with the United States, South Korea, and Japan. And Fidel Castro is warning that the escalation of tensions with Iran and North Korea could lead to World War III. Again, I don't like Fidel Castro's politics, but I do agree with his analysis. This could certainly lead to that. That's just some of the news, and we're going to be covering on that front. Also, a really scary development. I don't often agree with the news analysis at the Huffington Post, but they're reporting, and so is ABC News, that Google-Verizon deal, the end of the Internet as we know it. And this is corporations making deals with each other to basically only let their customers visit certain websites. That's what this will lead to, where they will have preferred agreements with select media corporations and Internet service providers to fast-track people being able to get online and visit those sites. And the corporate dossiers put out in the consortium meetings known as Internet 2 shows that they are moving to a point where you'll have the new Internet, which is just a few thousand sites you can visit at ultra-high speed, and the old Internet that's basically allowed to deteriorate and fall apart into nothing. There's been an interesting ruling. Tracking your car, cops need a warrant, says judge. Police cannot surreptitiously stick a GPS unit on your car and track your movements without a warrant. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia has ruled in an opinion published Friday. The courts of the police use of GPS evidence to convict 2 individuals was a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Well, here's a problem with that. by federal law, 1996, Telecommunications Act, all cell phones are designed to be tracked via GPS locator. They're not actually GPS themselves. They triangulate with the cell towers down to about 15 feet. And the police do wire this into their threat fusion centers and can track anybody they want in real time and dial in and actually physically listen to you over the phone using the speakerphone function, even when the phone is off. But the bigger issue here is license plate reading cameras that have been put in nationwide. That's how they can turn existing roads into toll roads overnight and just mail you bills. They're using the license plate readers, and many cities in the last decade have announced, you've seen the headline, town runs the plates of everyone that enters. And it's completely illegal and has nothing to do with your security. It's all about controlling and tracking you. So interesting news on that front. Some more good news. This is out of the Oregonian. Lemonade stand gets reprieve. There was outrage over the week over some young girls, age 6 and 7, with a small lemonade stand raking in as much as $15 a weekend, selling cups of lemonade for 50 cents. And they had been shut down. They were demanding a $150 licensing fee, but they've backed off there on that front. But that's just some of the miscellaneous news. Let me just read to you some of the other headlines we will cover in the next hour, because then we're going to go to break and come back and cover some of our top stories and then your phone calls. Airport body scanner scandal erupts. This out of the San Francisco Chronicle. CNET News is also reporting what we told you a year ago. The federal government thinks you're a bunch of idiots, and they lie to you as a course of action, standard operating criminal procedure. And they've announced, oh, don't worry at federal and state courthouses. Don't worry at county courthouses. Don't worry at airports. We are scanning your body 360, but A, there's no radiation, doesn't hurt you. Now they admit that's a lie. Very high levels, testicular cancer, skin cancer, you name it. But don't worry, we can't see your genitals. And don't worry, we're not saving it. And now they've had to admit in their own federal documents, and even Homeland Security now admits this, that it is 20 to 50 times the radiation they previously said, depending on the machine. There's two different companies. One's 20 times, one's 50 plus. You can pull that up. That's Associated Press. Very high levels of radiation, especially if you're a frequent traveler. But government sets the precedent. Now they're talking about chest x-rays because of breast implant bombs. You can't make this stuff up. That's Reuters. Of course, they'll tell you chest x-rays are good for you, or maybe drinking Prozac is good for you. I don't know. But they're reporting on that. And, of course, there is the Mail Online dose that may be up to 20 times higher than first estimated. We have that on screen for prisonplanet.tv viewers. So they premeditatedly lied to you that they weren't looking at your genitals when they're trained in the manuals to look at the genitals for definition. They're trained to look at men and women's genitals for definition and make sure the scanner is tuned. And they are 360 scanning you for a biometric scan, just like a face print or a thumbprint when you go get your driver's license, which they now use at warrantless checkpoints. Just like they enroll Iraqis in these biometric systems at checkpoints, you're being enrolled. Now they admit it is a 360 scan of your body, so passive cameras that fire millimeter waves into through your clothes, even if you're wearing a mask or a disguise, they know who you are. It creates a digital mark or number, just like a face scan or thumbprint, by making digital measurements. They also have biometrics for your particular walk that they've got in place nationwide through the AI software systems hooked into cameras. And it's all part of the enslavement grid. So they lied to you about the radiation. They lied to you about saving the images. And they lied to you about looking at your genitals. There's been quite a few fist fights now. And TSA workers saying, hey, baby, I want a date. Will you be my sex slave? One guy got arrested for that. They've had fist fights where they make fun of TSA employees. They may go through these when they make fun of their genitals. I mean, you've seen that in the news. They've made Hollywood people and TV stars. They print off their naked bodies. Particularly women think it's okay to harass men. And in fact, in both cases, it was women. TSA workers have been arrested for trying to have sex with women they've body scanned. There's the Fox News headline, TSA worker arrested after jokes.